Hi, my name is Joseph, and today I want to discuss The Walking Dead Season 1, which originally aired from October 31st, 2010 into December 5th, 2010. The first season of The Walking Dead is the shortest season with only 6 episodes. And yeah, I have a before I begin with the actual review, my quick explanation of my history with The Walking Dead. So when it first started airing, I hope I don't sound arrogant or rude when I say this, but when I first watched the season, for me personally, I did enjoy it, but I thought it was an okay show. And what I mean by that is that I personally did notice some of the plot elements that could have been reinforced, some minor plot holes, I suppose, and just some silliness within the story sometimes. Yet, despite that, I was still able to enjoy it because for me, even though it was just an okay show, I was enjoying what was being presented to me. I'm only explaining this because I think that's very important to keep in mind because as most people are aware about The Walking Dead, it started off really strong, but then as it continued, its quality started declining. And that's why a lot of people started jumping off from the show. For me personally, the quality did not really start declining into very light in the show. Spoilers into, quite frankly, after Carl's death and after Rick's death. Again, just because since the beginning, I always had that mindset. Well, The Walking Dead is not Game of Thrones, right? Especially that first couple of seasons of Game of Thrones. The Walking Dead, it's a fun show. It's a fun show that one is able to enjoy themselves in, to immerse themselves in, and lose themselves in if they want to. I'm also just explaining that because it's from my personal life. I only started watching The Walking Dead because of my friends and family, and now I'm actually the only one who watches The Walking Dead still. And yes, I do include the final season, or quote unquote the final season, right? Because now we're going to get that new series with Rick and Michonne, and already there's rumors that that's going to be 2 seasons instead of 1 season. So so just a quick history, and I have seen this show multiple times. The Walking Dead is kind of like my comfort show. Whenever I needed something in the background, that The Walking Dead is what I would put on. I started watching this from the first season multiple times, at least 4 times now. I started watching this from the third season because I don't want to rewatch the first 2 seasons because I've seen it so much, about 2 times now. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get into this. So recently, I decided to start rewatching The Walking Dead specifically for. Well, I'm not going to lie for this channel. Usually, when I watch it, I do things as I said. I'm not just paying attention, but this time, I really want to sit down and give it an analytical viewing, or maybe not an analytical viewing, but more serious viewing. And just give my thoughts about it. So when it comes to the first season of The Walking Dead, this is the season that's actually directed by. Oh no, no! Of course, I can't find the director. Give me a second, everyone. I know a way to find this a bit more quickly. Frank Dardenbolt, because I do know that he's the director of The Mists. And actually, if anyone ever watches the movie The Mist, you're going to recognize a lot of the characters. Dell, Andrea, they're both in The Mist, and they're also present within this show as well. So this first season is directed by Frank Darabont, and I'm only bringing this up because I think it's very noticeable. The first season of The Walking Dead is different in terms of minor details compared to the rest of the show. For example, the walkers in the first season, I would argue they're actually a little bit scarier in the first season. They're shown to move a bit more quickly than they typically do. They're also shown to utilize tools, picking up rocks to smash open glass doors. Season 2 and beyond of The Walking Dead, walkers were they essentially became your more typical zombies. They just shuffled and shambled along and didn't utilize any tools, at least not until the final season. And also, watching the first season, it's just so interesting just because um, you see Rick's character who's waking up in the middle of this new world, this apocalyptic world where social order has deteriorated, and I love how we see his perspective because of the as the audience, obviously we're going to learn as Rick learns. But something I don't like, I wish they would emphasize, is the fact that Rick is new to this world. What I mean by this is that by the end of the last episode. Rick is talking with Dr. Journer, and I think it would have been a really cool scene if Rick explained to Dr. Journer that I'm more like you than I am with my group. I woke up recently. I have not been participating in this new world that we're living in. It's only recently. I would argue it's been about a week that Rick's been engaged in this new world, whereas the rest of the characters, it's been at least a month at the very least, even more than that. And I think that would have been really cool just to set up character as the other. How despite he's with the group, he's more in line with the audience. We woke up with him. and just to have a more empathetic connection between Dr. Jenner's character and to establish Rick as a more nuanced character as well. Just small elements like that. There's a lot of, or also another little element is when the group goes to rescue Glenn. Um, but the way that I like the way that Rick handles the situation, the way that he directs people. But the fact that they were so close to starting to get into a battle, an actual gunfight, into the older woman, the senior woman comes out and interrupts the whole situation. I just feel like the dialogue there could have been better as well. So this is what I mean when I say The Walking Dead. Although I do enjoy it, there's just elements where it makes it an okay show. It could have been a great show, but it wasn't a great show because of the way that they chose to the way that they chose to push the dialogue forward. And and yeah, in the first season, we also get introduced to Morgan's character, who's a really important character. He won't be appearing again into four, season four, or season five, and yeah, I think the character. I'm not gonna lie, I'm being biased. I'm only mentioning him since I'm a big Destiny player, and Morgan, the actor who portrays him, he's Lord Shax from Destiny. Where this is amazing. So I said that horribly. This is amazing, but I also don't have a baritone voice, so that's from Destiny. Oh no, would I recommend the first season of The Walking Dead? I would. It does a great job of setting up Rick's character, of setting up the tension he's going to be encountering with the other groups of the members, especially with his best friend Shane. I haven't really talked about him. I remember when I first started watching the show The Walking Dead, I was always a Rick fan. I always preferred Rick over Shane. But now that I'm rewatching this with foresight, because I know how the story is going to end and everything like that. I know where these characters are going to end up. I do really miss Shane's character. It's funny because every time we watch The Walking Dead, I miss Shane a little bit more and a little bit more. And I think in this instance, I miss him a little bit more because I've seen the actor in more properties. He was great in The Pacific. He plays a very small minor role in The Bear, but oh my gosh, what a great job he did in The Bear. You really feel that emotional weight between Carmine's character and Mike's character, the brother. Those character names from The Bear. I can only imagine how the show's story would have been slightly different had Shane had been kept alive up into season 3. But I'm getting ahead of myself, pardon me. I also really like the dynamic between Rick and Lori and Shane's character as well. Just that whole, it's a huge knot of drama, right? What am I referring to? The fact that Lori ends up having romantic relationships with Rick's best friend. And I don't blame Lori at this point right now, just because during this time she believed that Rick had passed away. And I love how we do get a scene where Shane, he's at the hospital and he's listening to Rick's chest. He's trying to confirm if Rick is alive or dead. And of course, one could argue, well, even if he's in a coma, his heart would still be beating. We need to keep in mind the context, the fact that the military was shooting people. Right, so right outside, Shane sees that the military is shooting patients and doctors. And there's also zombies walking about, right? So I truly do believe Shane believed that Rick was dead, but he was still holding out hope, hence why he closed the door and why he didn't just leave the door unopened for the walkers to stumble upon Rick. Honestly, the rewatching this show right now, I definitely do view Shane as a tragic character. I'm not looking forward to the fallout that's going to occur between him and Rick. I'm also just talking about the fact that I think Rick's second in command, Daryl, he's great, but I couldn't imagine how the story would progress with the Rick, Shane, and Daryl dynamic. So now that I mentioned Daryl, something that I do, so even though I am making fun a little, but not making fun of, but just critiquing the writing for The Walking Dead, I do appreciate what they do with Daryl's character. When we first get introduced to him, he seems like your typical quote-unquote redneck character when he cares about himself. But in reality, if we pay attention, I think it's quite clear that Daryl's character was always an individual who's looking for community. As soon as Glenn gets kidnapped, if one pays attention to the demeanor of Daryl's character, he wants to assist Glenn right away, especially after he starts getting to know him as well. I think that's really cool. You really do see the seeds of Darrow's leadership skills developing. Well, I shouldn't say leadership skills because he's always been second in command up until the departure of Rick. But you really do see the seeds of the integration of Darrow's character into the rest of the community already with the first season, and I really do appreciate that. And of course, Lori's character. I know oftentimes people like to really bag on her character, but I think it's really important to keep in mind that again, she believes she lost her husband. Her husband got shot. He was in a coma, and now we're going through these crazy societal change that's no one was expecting a zombie apocalypse, right? So a societal change that was completely unprepared for. So I'm not trying to excuse Lori's actions, but I do understand she was. I would argue she was probably upset, probably lonely, and probably conflicted as well. She has her son that she needs to protect, and Shane. I would argue that Shane's character, he's not just a random stranger. He's always been integrated within the grime community, or the Grimes community, more specifically within the family, right? They know each other, they know one another. So as of for right now, for season one, I don't fault Lori. I do feel for her. And yeah, with some of the other minor characters, I do like Jim's character. He's the one that ends up getting bit, and they leave him on the side. I really do appreciate that scene, just the music, the way that Jim, he makes for himself the decision to die the way that he wants to, even though he knows what's going to occur. That is a bit sad, and it's crazy to think about. And the way that the first season ends with Dell choosing to rescue Andrea. So really quickly, unfortunately, in season two, Frank Darabont was released from being the director, and because of this, that does have implications for the writing itself. That's why Dell's character, actually, why he gets removed from the story in the second season. Again, I would love to have seen where the story would have progressed had we been allowed, had AMC had allowed Frank Darabont to continue working with The Walking Dead, because I don't know, Andrea's character and her dynamic with Dell, I'm already dreading what's going to occur, what's coming up for that in the second season and the third season. And I can't help but think that if things would have been a bit more different if Frank Darabont would have been the director still. But I do like Dell's character. I do like Jim's character. Morales' character. So again, the benefit of foresight, the fact that we know he's going to become a savior, that's pretty cool. Which is a very minor detail that doesn't really add much to the story, but just I do believe makes the story feel more interconnected. So would I recommend the first season of The Walking Dead? Yes, I would. Go in knowing that it's probably the best season of The Walking Dead. After this, though, just keep in mind, let's do a fun show. Don't go in expecting Game of Thrones. Don't go in expecting The Bear, Deadwood, or The Wire. Go in expecting a fun show where you could sit down, enjoy yourself, and take a break, or even just eat popcorn or chips and snacks while you're enjoying yourself. So if you watched The Walking Dead the first season, let me know what your thoughts are on it. Let me know if you rewatched the show. I've rewatched it certainly a number of times, and I do find myself enjoying the show. I am looking forward to rewatching this, actually sitting down and paying attention rather than doing things in the background. It's been a while since I've done that. Have a great day. Thank you for listening, and take care.